Welcome everybody to the VOLTTRON office hours. Happy Valentine's Day. Today we're going to hear a presentation from Si Chen on an OpenEEMeter application that he's built, and then the remainder of the time will be open for whatever topics people want to discuss. So with that, Si Chen, if you're ready, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So let me share my screen with you. Open system preferences. One moment. Yeah, just wanted to, oh, no, wait, that's wrong. Okay, yeah, I just want to say hi to everybody. And today I wanted to talk to you about a project called the OpenEEMeter. And just to be clear, we didn't develop this, and I'm not officially representative of the OpenEEMeter. I just found it and thought it was a very cool thing. So I wanted to show it to you guys and also see, get some feedback from you of what you think of it and where this might fit into what you're doing. Okay, so a little bit of background on what the OpenEEMeter is. OpenEEMeter is developed actually by this, as part of this thing called the CalTrack, which is a methodology for calculating a baseline energy use and therefore avoided energy use as based on weather. It's a very sophisticated regression model to calculate what the energy use of a building would have been given the same temperature by comparing historical temperature data versus interval meter data, for example, from Green Button or from some other way that you get from a utility. And it's all open source. So the CalTrack methodology is described in detail on the website. And they tell you exactly how, what the standards of estimating and the models are. And then the OpenEEMeter is the open source implementation of it. And they have also their documentation online. So this is mostly developed by a company that's now called Recurve, and they sell it as a product or as a software product to utilities to manage energy efficiency projects. But the software is available and it's open source. So tutorial here, and it was so and I made a video of it so you can see like what it looks like to go through. They have meter data, and then they have temperature data, and then from there you build a matrix, and then it builds the regressions for different times of the year. So more of that. And it collates the temperatures into different bins. And I'd be happy to share this video with anybody who wants to see the process of how it all worked. It's all like kind of command line, because the OpenEEMeter does not have a user interface itself. And so eventually it calculates the metered value and then your savings, or what they call counterfactual. Whoops, now what happened? What they call the counterfactual, which is the baseline, and the savings against that counterfactual at the end. So this is what the OpenEEMeter, and then you can calculate a total meter savings. So this is what the OpenEEMeter does. It's basically a library, and it runs in the command line. So what we did is we integrated it into our OpenTAPs, also open source software. And so we added this concept of a meter of which there could be several attached to a site. And so you get the historical meter readings and the weather. And OpenEEMeter has its own weather module, so it can get data from the NOAA database of weather history based on all these different Air Force weather stations. And it's not required that you use that. You can use any weather data source that two parties could agree on. And then basically it does regression, and it could calculate either daily or hourly models. So with a daily model, it could actually generate a pretty nice plot. And so you see these are the data points, and then these are the different fits, and this is the final model fit here. And the model is represented in JSON, so it has all the different parameters here. I think the most important one for me is are these, like the R-squared adjusted numbers. And it has like the cooling balance point, heating balance point, and the intercepts for the cooling degree days and heating degree days, and a lot of other metrics. So, and then from that, we can then run the model forward and calculate a set of basically energy savings. What we call the meter production is actually the energy savings against a baseline model for the same temperature points. And then from there, we're then able to use utility rates to calculate the value of those energy savings over time. So that's what we do with it. And I thought this was kind of cool because you're all working with a lot of, I guess, building level data from the BAS system and from other places. And what this does is it allows you to check whether different measures are actually saving energy against real utility data, which could be in short intervals and real weather data. So you could tie in the different measures and see what their actual effect was. And we could also envision programs by a utility that wants to verify both that the measures took place from a building data perspective and that there was real metered savings from historical regressions like this. So I thought this was kind of a nice fit to ultimately tie what we're doing with the building data together. And so I wanted to show this to everybody and get your thoughts to see if this is something that you might find useful in some way of what you're doing. So that's why I wanted to just take a little of your time to show you this.
Yeah, great, thanks. It's always good to know about other open source products that could be fed by VOLTTRON data or help folks who are in this space.
Sure, yeah.
Any questions around this?
Yeah, this is Michael Hammersley from Protocol Labs. It sounds like this is all avoided energy use on weather-related stuff in particular. I'm wondering if it has an applicability to sort of more demand response based on like, oh, we'll load shift like our factory for a little bit, if that's like included, or if that would have to be like same sort of model but a different kind of program.
You know, that's a really good question. It seems like a lot of the demand response programs, at least out here, they do the last 10 days of running metered usage, but they don't actually consider the weather as a factor. Is that something that you found in your experience as well?
I don't have enough experience to be able to say one way or the other, honestly.
Yeah, I think that the long answer is it should be, in that I believe that to do the grid interactive efficient buildings or demand response or whatever it is that utilities are demanding, they should be looking at temperature as a real factor, at least in commercial buildings where it's a big factor in terms of energy use. But the short answer is, unfortunately, I don't think they do that right now. And so this is being used as part of utility pilots. So there's different utilities right now, I guess, that work with the developers of the original OpenEEMeter recurve to see if they could roll out energy efficiency programs and just pay for performance based on models like this. So I think this is maybe a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of where utilities are, but it seems like this is where they should get to.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, anything else? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Si Chen.
Sure.
That's great. So before we open it up, I just wanted to mention that at the next office hours, so on the 28th, we will be discussing RabbitMQ, when to use it, how to set it up, and we'll also be talking about how to work with it on Raspberry Pis. So if you're interested in those topics, then the 28th would be office hours to make. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Let's see, James, are you still on or did you drop off? I think James left. All right, so any questions or other research that people would like to highlight in this?
Actually, I did have a question unrelated to this whole thing about OpenEEMeter.
Sure, go for it.
What is, I guess, what is the situation with VOLTTRON Central? What was the goal originally and where is it now?
So the goal with that originally was to provide some insight into the operation of your deployments, and so that you wouldn't have to go to every box to see what's going on. And it was implemented as kind of a beta prototype level, given that we're not really able to develop slick commercial grade sorts of UIs, given our position at National Lab. But the idea being that it has services that back that others could take. So you don't have to use the VOLTTRON Central UI. You could build something on top of the surface or the services that it uses. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, we could also make that a topic of a future office hours, because I think it's been a while since we highlighted that.
Right. Okay. And when you say it's in beta, does that mean how is it? Does it work in terms of the features that are in it? Have you had any issues with it?
Yeah. So it's not going to be something that you can see 10,000 Voltrons on, but you can see. So if you have a bunch of Voltrons deployed, they can be set up to point at the VOLTTRON Central. And if they're sending data to that instance, then you can visualize and trend the data that's coming in. You can use, so if people are familiar with the VOLTTRON config command line wizard, basically, through that you can set up a local instance of VOLTTRON Central. And if you install a master driver with a fake device on it, you should be able to see VOLTTRON Central looking at that data and trending it.
Okay. So can it be used to administer like a local instance of VOLTTRON, like replacing some of the things that currently have to be done with the command line?
Some of it, you can start and stop agents. You can see their status. You can see, you can pick points that you want to view and see the trend lines for those. Yeah. And and that's it's one of those features that if you look at it and have feature requests, then that's something that we'd be interested in hearing about. Like I said, we can make that a topic of a future office hours, since it has been a while since we highlighted it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep.
So, on a related note, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Dave Raker, the University of Toledo. We have an undergraduate senior design team that is working on building out two-way communication with Grafana in order to be able to add widgets to build control panels and such for things running in VOLTTRON. That would probably build onto, or at least borrow from the VOLTTRON Central API layer. They're, I think, still looking at whether they want to actually build on that or implement something slightly different. But and that would allow you to, for instance, have you could build a control panel to run a particular agent, like we have a BESS agent that we use to automatically control our battery system. That would allow us to, for instance, have little widgets that allow us to turn it on and off, change its mode and things like that from the control panel where we can see what's going on. So they are actually looking for people right now who would be interested in something like that to do some, to interview as far as understanding better what functionality would be interesting or desired for that. So if anyone is interested in that sort of functionality, please let us know.
Yeah, definitely keep us in the loop on that. So Spencer Gilbride is taking over the web side of VOLTTRON, so he would be someone to keep in the loop from that end. And then
Okay.
Robert, I assume that'd be something that you'd be interested in hearing about, right? If he's there.
I'm here. I'm always interested in new features and stuff. I like Grafana a lot. That'd be cool.
And then Dave, you might talk to Andrew Rogers at Ace IoT Solutions. I know they're using Grafana for some of their visualization of the data and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have had a couple meetings with Andrew already on it, and I was hoping to actually have them talk to somebody on the VOLTTRON development team. I'd emailed Craig the other day because I talked to him a little bit about it last August. Yeah.
So on that note,
did I miss something important?
yeah. So Craig Allwart has left PNNL and joined. Yeah, and joined another company who was using VOLTTRON. So he'll still be part of the community, just not from the PNNL side.
No longer the person I needed to email, so I should have just emailed the main
VOLTTRON
list.
at PNNL.gov. Yeah, yeah. We'll get that.
Yeah. Okay. So whoever would be best for them to talk to, they would like to set up a meeting to,
Sure.
A bit better idea of both what kind of features I think people would be looking for and to see, and also a bit of insight on best way of implementation and things like that.
Sure. No, that'd be great. So yeah, in general, so folks on the call, VOLTTRON, VOLTTRON at PNNL.gov is a good email to use because it goes to multiple people on the team. So if someone is out or doesn't have time to respond, then that'll more than one person will see it. So that's a good contact point. But yeah, for sure, that sounds great, Dave.
All right, thanks. If anyone else on the call besides the VOLTTRON team, by the way, is interested in providing any insight to that team, you can email me at david.raker, R-A-K-E-R, at utoledo.edu.
Okay, thanks. And if you want to take time out of future office hours to go over things, just let me know.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions or topics that people would be interested in?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
I'm Carolyn Goodman. I'm with Carnegie Mellon University. I'm looking to model some virtual assets with Modelica and linking that to VOLTTRON. And I'm aware there's already an Energy Plus agent available. And I'm just wondering if there's some resources to kind of figure out how to modify that for Modelica.
So yeah, Sen Huang at PNNL would be a good person to talk to.
I am actually, this is Robert. I'm actually working on an agent to communicate with Modelica, and I'm working with Sen to get that working. It's for another task, another project, but
Okay.
it's in its infancy though.
Okay. Is there like resources to, I don't know, I guess I'm like new to using VOLTTRON, so I'm trying to figure out how I would be able to do that. But I don't know if do you think that's possible to do as a more novice user to creating the Modelica agent based off the Energy Plus agent, or do you recommend waiting for something from PNNL or from?
Well, I have no preference either way.
Oh yeah.
It depends on how, if you're very new to VOLTTRON and application development inside of VOLTTRON, it might be quite a little bit, it might be a little bit difficult. But if you get familiar with that and you look at the Energy Plus agent, there's some similarities and some differences. And the agent that I'm trying to create for Modelica, I'm hoping to make it a little bit more, I guess, easy to use, and I guess the Energy Plus agent isn't difficult to use, but just a little more succinct.
Okay.
So
okay, thank you.
really, it just depends on your skill level and the amount of time you want to put into it.
Right.
Actually, this is kind of interesting. Can I ask you, what is the use case for tying like an Energy Plus model to VOLTTRON? How are you, what would you be able to do getting
we're looking to do
information?
like a hardware in the loop setup. So basically having some virtual assets with physical assets. So this gives us like diverse testing capabilities so that we don't necessarily have to have a full scale real HVAC system or refrigerator or something like that to test control algorithms on.
Ah, okay. So you would have a simulated HVAC system, for example, that's responding based on the
Right.
building model and weather data.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and so Sen Huang's been doing Energy Plus work with VOLTTRON. Robert, had he already been doing Modelica, or is that, sounds like that's something new?
Well, Sen is like a Modelica expert, and
Yeah.
so he does a ton of stuff with Modelica. We just started integrating, basically, or creating an application or agent that would allow for communication with Modelica. So
Okay.
the integration with VOLTTRON is new.
Okay. Yeah, so Carolyn, I'll start an email chain around this topic just so you can talk to folks
Okay,
about
great.
it.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay. Any other questions? All right. If not, then we will call an office hours. Thanks everybody for calling in. Next office hours will be the 28th, and as I mentioned, it will be talking about RabbitMQ and putting VOLTTRON on Raspberry Pis. So, and then we can also see about getting VOLTTRON Central demonstration at that as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.